like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, Mrs. Burns, please.
Mr. Congdon?
Here.
Ms. Boyle?
Here.
Mrs. Hollenbeck?
Here.
Mr. Morris?
Here.
Mr. Parentano?
Here.
Mr. Rudy?
Here.
Mr. Santa?
Here.
Mr. Sullivan?
Here.
Mr. Feather is not here. The quorum is present.
Thank you. This time I'd ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Barb likes that blue. Blending in with the curtains.
Yeah.
Do we have any announcements, Mrs. Burns?
No announcements.
Thank you. Superintendent's report. Mr. Jones, please.
Good evening. I have a number of things to highlight. Not all of our schools, but a lot of our schools. It's just too hard to get it all out there, but there's a lot of good information that can be found on our Facebook page. Mr. Stanley does a phenomenal job showcasing the school and all the activities. But here, let me give you some updates. In Neshaminy, again, I just find it exciting to see that our students continue to get opportunities to have their artwork showcased. In this case, it's Mrs. Soltis's drawing and painting class. 6 students were selected to be part of the 2017 high school imprint juried competition at the Wharton Esherick Museum in Paoli, PA. And so those talented students, congratulations to her and to the effort to get them that publicity. We hosted here at Neshaminy High School last week 650 students from this southeastern portion for a student council meeting, 5-county area of the Philadelphia area. And so 650 students were at our high school participating in a real nice opportunity for them as students to talk about their efforts as student leaders in their individual schools. In our middle school program, we are now fully engaged with the Amplify Science program. It's an exciting program. Our teachers talk highly about it. Our students enjoy the program. It's very interactive. And just this month, we had visitors who are the Amplify Science people nationally who have come out here to kind of see the implementation because, again, we are one of the schools on the forefront of this implementation. And so it was kind of nice to be in that spotlight. It makes the kids feel good, makes our teachers feel good about being engaged in some cutting-edge science work. Maple Point, again, this year, back at the Ronald McDonald fundraising efforts, $2,319 with their scarves, hats, and the like. It's one of the many examples of just some good service work that's happening here in the community. In addition, Maple Point's Coaches versus Cancer, the boys basketball program, that program is March 10th, so mark your calendar, something that's on the horizon. Carl Sandburg had, and it wasn't clear in our Facebook post, but they had a really interesting continuation of an annual event called the Tower of Power, where teams of 4 students choose to come back at night to their middle school to participate in this fun activity where they take straws and paper clips and they build the highest tower possible that can still support 2 tennis balls, and they come in costumes as a team with a theme. And it's just a fun night. Principal was able to report out on it at a principal's meeting I attended and just celebrate the school, celebrate the community, celebrate the students, and a lot of ingenuity, a lot of problem solving, a lot of good work on the part of the students there at Carl Sandburg. Also at Sandburg, they had a neat opportunity as a result of the efforts of a teacher there to have a ESPN senior sports writer come out, Dana O'Neill, and she spoke to our students about her efforts there as a writer and as someone with ESPN, covering basketball, lacrosse, horse racing, but most importantly, she wrote a book recently on the Villanova championship team, the Spotlight in Neshaminy High School graduate Ryan Archidiacono. Fertibar was out at the Attleboro home, and they were there in December, and they went back again at Valentine's Day. It's kind of a neat relationship between our young people and those there as they forge this relationship over time. And so that's a special event. And again, talking about linking our schools to the community, it's an important piece of our mission statement. And these are just examples of just how our teachers and our administrators make real special efforts to get our kids in positions so that they can do those things. And another example, Buck Kindergarten class had a visit from Mr. Rohn. He's a mail carrier from the Langhorne Post Office. He came and visited the class, and he actually talked to them about what it meant to use the postal service to deliver a message. I don't know that our kids at that age even understand anymore, but they actually gave to they gave to him letters that he then mailed, and they went, and I guess they had stamps and everything. I'm sure they were bewildered by the whole process. All right, I want to just move into a few other notes here. Our Business Operations Committee will be meeting. There's a couple new meeting dates. March 7th is a Tuesday, and the focus there is on long-range facility planning, so that's going to be a special and important meeting for us to talk about just our facilities. And there also will be some linkage to the 17-18 budget. On March 20th, it's a Monday, we're going to be talking about transportation and similarly talking about that department and its connection to the upcoming budget. And then April 12th is our first review of the budget since the preliminary budget was approved. And so those are three meetings that are kind of getting the ball rolling again on the work that has to happen in terms of finalizing a 17-18 budget. There is a motion that's on our agenda tonight to move the Giza 3 projects that are scheduled for two of our elementary school. The conversation and final approval, hopefully, of those is going to shift from tonight to March 14th. And so that's part of a motion this evening, and that's what that's about, and that's really just finalizing some numbers. We have every expectation that that project's going to be something that the board continues to be able to support and get in place for the summer. And finally, just some sports updates. I haven't given you any winter sports updates. I was updating you on some real successes in the fall, but the winter program, we had some nice success on the basketball court. Both the boys and girls made it into the playoff rounds. The boys made it for the first time since 2011. They were eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. Girls went to the third round of District 1 playoffs before being eliminated, but each did field very competitive teams this year. Our girls and boys swimming will be competing in District 1 championships with two swimmers that compete this upcoming weekend at LaSalle University. Boys and girls bowling, very strong. Both teams are headed this weekend to Eastern Regional Championship. We have three wrestlers who advanced to the Southeastern Regional Championship this weekend. Diving, we had a couple participants participating in championships last weekend, and here's the most exciting one here. We talked about this young man in the fall, Rusty Kudich. I'm going Kudich. I don't see the R yet, but we have to get his name. We have another year to get it right. He's a junior, and we talked about him in the cross-country time. Now we're talking about him because of winter track. On this past Saturday, February 25th, Rusty, a junior here, finished second in the 3,000 meters at the Pennsylvania State Indoor Track Championship. So that's all of the fastest indoor 3,000-meter runners. It's almost 2 miles. His time, Rusty, ran a new school record of 8 minutes, 37 seconds, breaking his old record by 6 seconds. Rusty's time is the third fastest high school 3,000 run in Pennsylvania this year, and the 9th fastest in the nation. Hey, see, we're all impressed with that. That's almost like a 4-minute mile. That's really fast. So we have one more year for Rusty to keep going faster. And then at this point, we do have presentations on our agenda, and I'd like to turn this over to Dr. Hancock, and she has some visitors with us, special guest this evening. She's going to explain, and our literacy program is in the spotlight, and we have a lot of guests of our own, from our own schools here with us too. Thank you.
Good evening and thank you. We are very honored here at the Neshaminy School District to have with us representatives and the CEO, Mr. Tyson from Reading Horizons, and Mr. Crimson is also here, as well as several of our reading specialists and our administrators here to support them. The Neshaminy School District is receiving the Excellence in Literacy Award, which is the Charlotte Lockhart Award, and so we're very honored to receive this evening. Would you like to come up, Mr. Tyson, and say a few words?
I'm not sure where I should stand because I don't want to have my back to the teachers.
No.
But, and it is an honor. It's an honor for me to be here. The fact that I got to come to this district, to this board meeting, I mean, I love it. I love spending time visiting with teachers. And I got to participate in some classroom instruction this morning, which was very well done. And it's fun. But the fact that I'm here, it means that there's some exemplary reading instruction going on in your district. I hope that everyone here, whether you teach in the schools or not, you recognize that the fact that I'm here, our system has been used for over 30 years in thousands and thousands of schools. And the fact that we've come to award this to Neshaminy is an indicative of the wonderful instruction that is going on in your schools. And so I thought, just to give a little bit of context, so this is an award. It's for, as Dr. Hancock said, for excellence in literacy. But if I can, I want to just read a statement about who Charlotte Lockhart was. I'll tell you this. I think educators of all people, you talk about people who are committed to making a difference, it's educators, because the money's never great, the hours are long, the stress is real. And so, people who are committed to making a difference, it's educators. And that was Charlotte Lockhart. Let me just read this to you just briefly. Charlotte Lockhart, nicknamed the Biphonic Woman, was an exemplary educator and role model with a passion for teaching the world to read. She dedicated her time and money to creating the Discover Intensive Phonics for Yourself reading system and spent many years tutoring individual students, training teachers, and educating parents on her method. The Orton-Gillingham-based method Lockhart created is now the foundation of the entire Reading Horizons system. To honor her legacy, Reading Horizons has established the Charlotte F. Lockhart Award for Excellence in Literacy Education to be granted to institutions or individuals who exemplify the characteristics and core values Lockhart embodied and embraced. When considering potential recipients for the Lockhart Award, Reading Horizons focuses on these traits: always serving. Whether as a student, in the military, as an administrator, as a mother, or as a tutor, Lockhart believed in the value of serving others, regardless of life circumstance. Countless hours were dedicated to one-on-one sessions with children who needed extra help, and she gave that time gladly. Overcoming obstacles. Lockhart was initially prohibited from teaching because she was a married woman. She did it anyway, taking on 23 students over 7 grades in a rural Illinois school. Later, she joined the military to serve in World War II among the first female Navy recruits. When her school needed coaches, she took up the job and headed both basketball and baseball as a busy principal. Charlotte also got things done even when the challenge was great. Literacy focus. During her teaching career, Lockhart was increasingly worried about the tragedy of illiteracy. She saw how much reading struggles could disrupt the life of a student, and even as a principal, worked as a private tutor to students who needed help learning to read. Her life mission became increasingly focused on literacy, and by the end of her journey, she had worked with thousands of students. Dedication and passion. Decades after retiring in 1972, Lockhart continued to tutor, teach, and train with the same level of passion as her first day in the classroom. When she was disappointed with the reading materials offered to her students, she created her own curriculum. Her personality was large and her lasting impact even larger. Commitment to education. Beyond the world of workbooks and games, Lockhart developed a method that taught vital decoding skills. Literacy organizations worldwide were beneficiaries this month for countless volunteer hours, assuring teachers became better teachers. She did more than instruct, she educated. And a loving heart. Above all else, Lockhart exuded love. Her students remember her as a smiling teacher. Her staff remember her as an inspiring leader. Reading Horizons is grateful to be able to carry on her legacy and hopes this award will recognize those who strive to improve literacy in their corner of the world, which is this school district. So, I think we got to give a round of applause to the educators that have made this possible. And if I can have Mr. Jones, if you'd like to come forward too. Step over here to the microphone. And yeah, we created, I mean, it's something you can stick, but the same idea, we didn't know where you would put it exactly, so we also created something that would go on the wall a little easier for you. So, Dr. Hancock, and Mr. Jones.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Scott Dunn is our board president.
It's nice to meet you.
Well, here's what I'd like to do.
Let's honor can we honor the teachers
Yes.
first, and then we can do everything else? That would be great.
Do you have a plan? 'Cause
Yes, I have a plan. I always have a plan, a plan A and a plan B.
planned it out weeks in advance, too.
Exactly. He knows me so well. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to let everyone know that we have a team of 22. This program is being implemented in all of our elementary schools. And while they're all not here with us this evening, I do think that it's important to read their names and so that they can be recognized. So I'll go through that fairly quickly, and then I will certainly honor those who are here representing their entire team. From Pearl Buck Elementary School, it's Kara Butari and Mr. Kern. From Albert Schweitzer, it's Miss Maritzi, Miss D. Entremont, and Mr. Stonebeck. From Hoover, it's Miss Brooks, Miss Kolscher, Mr. Wellwood, and Dr. Glennon. From Walter Miller, it's Miss Riley, Miss Doherty, and Mr. Bodolis. From Tawanka, it is Miss Gross, Miss De Fortuna, and Miss Conley, and Mr. Palmer. From Furtabar, Miss Baker, Miss Haggerty, and Mrs. Brown. And from the Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Office, it's Miss Stahl, Mr. Baffa, and Miss T.C. Nothing would be complete without also honoring and recognizing Miss Kulang. And even though Mrs. Kulang is no longer with the district, she was the one who truly championed this. She did the research, and if anybody knows Miss Kulang, she is one dedicated educator, and she is very persistent. Did I say persistent? I mean extremely persistent in ensuring that we made sure that we got the program here at Neshaminy. So, Miss Kulang, while I don't have a certificate for you or an award, I'm just going to give you a great big hug because you were truly a champion and a pioneer. And so thank you very much. Okay, Miss Butari. Congratulations. We appreciate it. Miss Baker.
Thank you.
She's a little nervous. She's been busy instructing today and being videoed all day long. Ms. Brooks. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Ms. De Fortuna.
Thank you.
Ms. Gross.
Thank you.
Ms. Haggerty.
Thank you.
Ms. Maritzi. Ms. Stahl.
Thank you.
One other individual that also deserves much recognition is Mrs. T.C. She is like my right-hand person and bookend, I have to say, and she too was a champion of this effort in making sure that it was in the budget. So, Mrs. T.C., I don't have an award for you, so I'm going to give you a big hug as well. Thank you. And that concludes our formal presentation this evening. And before I forget, our principals, would you please stand and be recognized? Mr. Stoneback from Schweitzer, Mrs. Brown from Furtabar, Dr. Glennon from Hoover, Mr. Kern from Buck, Mr. Bodolis from Miller. Thank you all very much for your leadership and encouragement. Thank you.
Mr. Stanley wants to take a
All right. Once again, great job by our principals, teachers, and everyone involved with the Excellence in Reading Award. At this time, we're going to move to public comment. Please state your name, area you reside, your profession. We limit this to 3 minutes, and please no personal attacks. Mrs. Burns, please.
Miss Outer?
Press the button. Hi, thank you very much. My name is Susan Denouter, and I am the Vice President of the Neshaminy High School Instrumental Music Boosters. And I am joined this evening with some of the parent members of the organization. Thank you very much for all the support that you've given from the board and the school and the community for our kids and the music program across the district. We are here tonight to talk specifically about the high school marching band. We are proud parents of fantastic kids. Might sound a bit biased, but the recognition that they receive across from the community and from other schools sort of supports this claim, so we're very happy. There are 150 students in our organization, and that includes our color guard. It is one of the largest organizations of the school with a very strong alumni and parent network supporting them. So the students work very hard from the hot part of the summer through the cold start of the winter. And when they're performing and they're out there on that field, it is breathtaking. The sound, the visuals, the movement, we're so very proud of them. This past fall, they had a fantastic season. At the competitions, they would receive the superior ratings, the very highest that you can get. And if you had the opportunity to see the halftime show, each time that they hit the field, they continue to add, adjust, improve, and they work very, very hard. So they compete in the Cavalcade of Bands, and that's an organization that actually runs throughout the whole region, from North Jersey all the way down through Delaware and Maryland, Pennsylvania, of course, included. And there is competitions that happen every week. And we take a part in about 4 or 5 of them every year. And it leads up to a final competition in Hershey. And they did so very well that they actually took second in the competition. But the fun thing, as you were standing in the stands, you could hear all the other schools being announced. And we knew that it was our turn coming. And then all of a sudden to hear that we won second, it was just amazing. So we're not only proud of our kids, but also of our school. And the way the kids represent our school, they represent it very well. They're visible at all the football games, including the regular season, postseason, and then in the competitions, parades, music programs, and various community programs. So go red and blue. And that's exactly what we want to talk about, is about the red and the blue. The current band uniforms, they have existed and survived through 12 years. When they were purchased, they were sharp, they were current, and they were competitive. Although we have a fantastic team of parents who take care of them, they meticulously maintain those uniforms every year. They are showing the wear and tear of 12 years between the crazy weather, alterations, hemming, 10 plus years of different shapes and sizes of kids. So the students and parents and the teachers were very excited last year with the idea of getting new uniforms for this year. Our understanding, did I hit my time? Oh, thank you so very much. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm going to wrap it right up. Our understanding was that although they were in the preliminary discussion last year, they didn't make the final cut. And so it's our understanding that they're actually on the docket for this year to be considered for the budget. And so we would very much appreciate your approval of the purchase of new uniforms for our students for next year. As our parents, we would love to see them hit the field in crisp, sharp uniforms, and it would give us the competitive edge to take first place next year and be in front of the many teams of judges. So again, I think they represent the school very well. And so go for Neshaminy pride. Go Skins. Thank you.
Steve Rodas?
Good evening. I'm Steve Rodas. I live in the Villages of Flowers Mill in Langhorne. First, I'd like to congratulate the 22 staff members of the district. They're usually the unsung heroes of this district. I'd like to congratulate them and the others in the teaching staff because they really don't get the praise or the respect that they deserve all over the district. So I think it's great that they were recognized this evening. Moving along, next week is the Business Operations Committee meeting. And, you know, I'd like to make a comment that a long-range facilities replacement should be very long-range. We have facilities now that are pretty good by and large, and I don't think any of these facilities should be replaced in any major way, or even new ones built at this time. But as far as the budgeting is concerned, I'd like the answers to a couple of questions. Is the report of the transportation study, has that been completed? And if it has, what's the result of it? I'd like to hear about that. Because past audited statements file on the district website for the 4 years prior to this past year, we have budgeted one number for transportation, and the cumulative amount that we spent has been under budget by $5.5 million. So something is wrong in our budgeting. If you're telling, you know, the public, this is, you know, this is how bad things are going to be. We might have to do this. We may have to do that. I think you ought to give some thought to better budgeting in this area, because, you know, we saved $5.5 million in the last 4 years, not including the budget that's not been posted yet. So finally, I believe you should look pretty closely at the staffing in the elementary schools for special ed, particularly giving some thought to the autistic children. This is a growing number of students all over the country, and I think that the regular elementary school teachers could use an additional hand in there to help them with the students. I think the students will deserve whatever help they can get. We're required to do it anyhow, and the money you would save in lawsuits would probably more than pay for everything else. So that's it, right on time. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes, treasurer's report, check register, and procurement card purchases, budget transfers, bids, investments, and exonerations. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Parentano on a second. Any questions, comments, or concerns on those 7 items? Be it there none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The minutes, treasurer's report, check register, and procurement card purchases, budget transfers, bids, investments, and exonerations passes 8-0. At this time, we're going to move to the personnel administrative. Mr. Parentano, can you make the motion, please?
Resolved that the Neshaminy School Board of Directors hereby approves the attached termination due to end of assignment.
Okay. Thank you for that motion. Can I get a second, please? Mr. Sullivan, any questions, comments, or concerns? Be it there none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes 8-0. Underneath personnel in the certified staff, I'd like to make a motion to approve the retirements, resignations, term, leave of absences, tenure awards, appointments, co-curricular resignations, and co-curricular appointments. Can I get a second, please? Mr. Marsh, any questions, comments, or concerns on those items? Be it there none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The certified personnel passes, 8-0. We're going to move to the personnel for support. Ms. Hollenbeck, can you please make that motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve retirements and resignations, leave of absence, return from leave, appointments, extracurricular resignations, extracurricular appointments, and ancillary appointments.
Thank you. Can I get a second, please? Mr. Sullivan, any questions, comments, or concerns on any of those? Be it there none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Passes 8-0. Educational Development, Ms. Boyle, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve overnight trips, a confidential settlement agreement, and the summer program's 2017 proposal.
Thank you, Ms. Boyle. Can I get a second, please? Second. Ms. Hollenbeck, any questions, comments, or concerns? Be it there none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Passes 8-0. We're going to go to business operations. Ms. Hollenbeck, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the BCIU 2017, 2018 programs and services and instructional materials and research services budget, Sunday facilities field usage, athletic trainer agreement, and the Giza 3 project.
Thank you for that motion. Can I get a second, please? Second. Mr. Santa, any questions, comments, or concerns?
Mr. President, I would ask that just for the record, the administration one more time explains the Giza 3 motion 7.04
The motion there for Giza 3 is actually a simple delay from this evening until the March 14th date for our next meeting. And the reason for that is that our rentals company is finalizing numbers, getting that to administration so that we can have a final review, and then we'll be able to present that to you at the next meeting. So this is simply a motion here that's moving that decision from this evening to March 14th.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Be it there none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Business operations, I believe, passes 8-0. Policy, Ms. Boyle, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve policy number 554, which is hazing.
Thank you for that motion. Can I get a second, please? Mr. Rudy with a second. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
I just think this policy, which is a new policy, needs some explanation. This was a state-mandated change in law that has forced all school districts to institute a separate policy of hazing, and it's in line with the criteria set forth by the state and area surrounding districts.
Thank you, Mr. Parentano. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Be it there none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Passes 8-0. At this time, I'd like to bring up, is there any other board business this evening that anyone would like to bring to the attention of the board? Okay, at this time, we're going to move to our second portion of public comment. Once again, please state your name, area you reside, your profession. We're going to limit to 3 minutes, and please, no personal attacks. And there was no sign in for this, so if you feel that you'd like to come up, please feel free to do so.
Good evening. I'm still Steve Rodas, same as before. I didn't get a chance to look at the agenda on the website, but I'm really not crazy about the way, 2.5 pages of agenda topics were done in two minutes. I think, you used to print the names of those people who may be retiring, those who were hired, I think that was very important. I think there's some, and I go to a lot of meetings here, and I don't remember half of the stuff ever being discussed. I know some of them have been because I remember them. But I really think that I know it makes the meetings faster by a lot, but I think that there's something missing. And if everybody's going to phone the whole thing in, I'll phone my comments in as well, and nobody will ever show up. I'm uncomfortable with that. I did.
Mr. Rhodes, can I just want to interject, just because I want to make sure that it's clear that the old practice, you're right, had hard copies here in this room. But the new practice makes those names available in advance of the meeting. They're online, they're available, and they'll stay available forever.
Okay.
Here forward. So in the past, you're right, those who came to the meeting would have had access to that, but now what we're hopeful is that we're actually enhancing transparency in the sense that all of that information now is available. Even more so, we actually put more information now out there than we used to be able to copy.
I know that's why I prefaced by saying I didn't get a chance to see it. I had an important round of golf today and couldn't get around to it. But it's one of those things. But I do want to say something else. I always wondered about the band uniforms. And I wondered, if they were not new, every year, did the band have to go and get the same size kids every year?
There's a heavy running program in the summer.
Yeah, I noticed.
Other kids we feed them pasta meals all throughout the summer too.
But you know what? It shouldn't be given short shrift because, the band is out there. People associate Neshaminy. Boy, that band looks really great. And I always wonder when the local school districts are, and they probably will shortly, are going to get back to the last 30 minutes of Mr. Holland's opus with Richard Dreyfuss when he said, if you do away with music, you do away with the band, you do away with the arts, you get nothing for everybody. Nothing's going to be taught to anybody because there's nothing left. So, having said that, I will do whatever I can to get the band uniforms in there. So I will see you all next week. Same time, same station.
Okay, anyone else? Going once? Twice, okay. At this point in time, we're going to move to board comment. Irene, please.
I wanted to follow up on Steve's comments because I do believe that not everyone out there has a computer that you can actually go in and understand exactly what we're talking about. And I know there's a lot of seniors that watch, it on TV, and they certainly, perhaps do not always have access. So I just understand what you were trying to say.
I'd like to add some comments, Mr. Condon. First, I want to congratulate our teachers on the excellence in reading literacy. It's been a real effort of this district, led by our curriculum instruction department, as well as these teachers that are in these classrooms every day, trying to do the best that they can for our kids. And it's been a staple of this district since I've been on the board, and I'm just very proud to see them being recognized for the hard work that they do all do. To our band alumni, I was contacted about this issue last year, and I hear you. I can only speak for myself. This board. I do believe that the band is a great resource for this district. Many accolades and awards, and we should do our best to try and give them the best presentation they can make on the field. They're a bunch of kids that work hard, and and they have a great alumni association. The amount of resources that the band and band alumni raise on their alone is phenomenal. I just want to be honest with you. You know, it's a very, very tough budget year, as it is every year. Currently, right now, we're fighting a $9.2 million funding deficit, and while our administration's hard at work to try and bring us some new ways we can save and bring that number way down. I heard you. I'm sure the other board members have heard you, and we will assure you that we'll try our best. I want to see Neshaminy well represented when they're out there, and we'll see what we can do. So thank you for coming to the meeting and sharing your thoughts.
I'll answer your question about the transportation study. It hasn't started yet. They're doing some preliminary work, and they'll be out next week.
Doing a study?
Yeah, to talk to the department and do the information needs on site.
Barb, just to follow that up, the study that's going to take place, that'll be available and completed by the March 20th business operations meeting? No, it will not. So we'll be discussing the transportation on March 20th, but we won't have the study available?
Right.
Okay.
Well, let me continue then, because that doesn't sound right. But nonetheless, as you've pointed out, we have a budget that's already rolling, and so we need to make some decisions. We need to talk about transportation in light of the formation of the 17-18 budget. The study that we did engage with will have a better timeline once the visitors are out and we meet face-to-face. And so we'll have an update on that study in terms of what the timing is going to be. But the two really are going to be parallel efforts at this point.
Thank you. Once again, I want to thank the administration, the principals, which were part of the administration, and all the teachers in the Excellence in Reading Literacy Award. It's a lot of hard work and effort went into that, and it was nice to be recognized as a school district. I feel that this is only the beginning for our teaching staff and the many strides that they can make in excellence, I feel will be coming to light over the next few years. Very happy to see this start the way it has. In terms of the marching band uniforms, I know that was a subject last year as well. I'd like, Barb, if you could, in the future, to bring to the board the history of how long have we kept band uniforms, how often we've purchased, when's the last time we purchased them, year before that. And speaking from experience, I do know that the band uniforms are adjustable, and they do come in and out as needed. They're designed that way, and they're not cheap. I mean, obviously, I know that they're very expensive, but they're very important to our kids, to our marching band. There's something that represents our school district at each and every one of the surrounding school districts during the football year, and up and down the East Coast and during competitions and whatnot. I know I wore one in Hawaii when I was here in the high school, so they get around. So that history will help the board understand our past history and how often we've gone, without purchasing them. And Mr. Rodas, we didn't talk about any kind of food tonight or anything like that, so I'm thinking things have been a little bit better.
He needs no help.
And your comments, I've taken note, and I will discuss them. The staffing in the elementary schools for special education and whatnot. I know that our administration is here that's in support of that, so we'll take a look at that. And the budgeting issues also on the transportation we want to take a look at on March 20th. I'm hoping you'll be here, and I'm hoping more people will be here, but it might just be you again. Well, Yes. Well, with that being said, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this evening, and I'd like to thank the board. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Can I get a second, please? Ms. Boyle, thank you for the second. All in favor? Thank you, everyone, and good night.